Hello, today we will discuss the process of solving a Prezi paper and the question of Prezi in particular. So, first of all, how to start solving a Prezi and how to attempt this question. There are few guidelines you must follow in order to solve or in order to write a good Prezi of the passage. First of all, you do not exist in the paper of Prezi. You must not write your own views in the passage in Prezi making process. You have to write according to the views of the author. Remember this rule that you do not exist in the paper of Prezi, and you have to write uh, according to the sequence and according to the uh, ideas given by the author. So let's start. First of all, this is the passage of 2006 original passage. When you start your Prezi, first of all read out the passage at least twice. In the first reading, you have to uh, underline and you have to keep in mind all the main ideas in the passage. For example, in this passage, in this original passage, you have to read it once before attempting, and you have to uh, point out or underline all the main points that you consider are very important in the passage. You have to underline all the main points in your very first reading. So read the passage once and underline all the main points in the passage with the help of a pencil or simply uh, uh, draw brackets. In your second reading, you have to understand the paraphrasing of the passage. You have to understand the sequence of the passage, and you have to understand how much importance the author has given to each and every idea. So you can do this by just focusing on the passage, and uh, you have to observe the connectivity, the sequence of ideas, the presentation of ideas, and how much importance author has given to each idea. So in the second reading, you will observe the sequence and all the things I have mentioned. So you have to do these two readings, they are very vital. In the first reading, you have to underline all the main ideas, and in your second reading, you have to just understand the sequence of ideas, importance given to each idea, and other things I have mentioned. So after making these two readings, you have to uh, start writing your Prezi. How you can you have to start writing a Prezi? You will give a heading on the page like this, points for the Prezi. You will give this heading on the page on the answer sheet, and after that you will start writing all the ideas one by one. This was the first idea given in the passage. This was the second idea given in the passage. Similarly, this was the third idea given in the passage. Now you have to write these ideas in sequence according to the passage. You have to write all the main points in the form of these points, and you have to write all these points under the heading points for the précis. So, the first step in the process of writing a précis is points for the précis, and you have to make all the important points in sequence. You have to write all the important points in sequence on the first page of the answer sheet. So here we have written 13 points of the passage, and you have to number all of these points in sequence 1 2 3. Remember one rule that you must not disturb the sequence of the passage. Write points in sequence. If this point comes first in the passage, you have to write it at the start of a passage, and if this point is at the end of the passage, you have to write it at the end of the passage. So after doing reading, write down all the main points, uh, and write and uh, do not make very short points. Try to write briefly but include all the ideas in these points. So you have to write all the main points like this in the passage, and after that, after writing points from the précis, you have to move to the next portion, which is called draft. So this is the rough draft of the précis, and in the rough draft, you have to make a single paragraph from the points you have written. For example, you we have written these points for the précis, and from these points we will write a single paragraph, and we will call that paragraph, this is the paragraph, sorry, we call it rough draft. In rough draft, you have to write a single paragraph from the points of the précis, and after writing this single paragraph, you will count the words in this paragraph, and if the words are more than the required limit, you will trim the passage, and you will make necessary amendments in the passage. You have to show your working in the rough draft. In this rough draft, which is a single paragraph, you have to uh, change the words. You have to add your vocabulary if you remember any new word, and you have to make connectivity of the passage. You have to do all the work on your passage in the rough draft. You must show the examiner that you have worked on your passage in this like the way we did in this passage. So from the points of the passage, you have to make a rough draft. You will give a heading rough draft, and after giving the heading, you will write a single paragraph from the points of the précis, and then you will yes, trim the paragraph, and you will do rough work here to improve your passage, to improve its connectivity, to make it according to the required length of the passage. All the work you need to do on your précis, you have to do it in the rough draft, and after that count the words. Then after doing the required work, after adding the new words or after making the amendments, after making connectivity in the passage, you have to write a new draft. On the third page, give the heading need draft, and you have to write need draft in the form of a single paragraph like this. You will uh, write this need draft from the rough draft, because you have done all the rough work there, and from that rough draft you will convert that rough draft into a need draft. Remember that you must not do any work on the need draft. You have to just write it down, and all the work needed to be done on the précis, that has to be done in the rough draft portion, and in the need draft you simply have to type it on the page like this. So after writing need draft in this in the form of one paragraph, give the heading of summary at the end of the page. Mention the total words in the passage, in the original passage. Count each and every word in the original passage, and write down the total number of words here from the original passage. After that, write down the required number of words. Like if the words are 361, we need 120 words in the passage. And also write, count the words in this neat draft, and mention the word in the neat draft here, word in the neat draft. You can add 10 to 15 words extra. As you can see, the required limit is 120, but the words are 135. That is very much okay, no issue. And at the end you have to write the title. So after writing the neat draft, you have must mention the heading of summary, and in summary you have to write these things: total words, words required, words in need draft, and title. So this is the complete process. Now your press is complete, and the examiner will check this need draft. And why this need draft is working on need draft is important. This need draft you have taken it from the rough draft, and in the rough draft you have done all the required work. That is the reason need draft. If you follow this process, your need draft will be very coherent, and it will be in sequence, and it will be within the required length. So follow this process of um, solving precis for your revision. First of all, you have to read the passage. First of all, you have to read the passage twice. In the first reading, you have to underline all the main points. In your second reading, you have to notice the paraphrasing and the importance given to each idea. After that, you have to write points for the precis, and you have to number each point. You have to write all the points of the precis in the form of sentences, and do not forget to leave any idea behind. Yes, you can exclude examples. After writing points for the precis, you have to write a rough draft. The purpose of rough draft is that you can work on the rough draft. You have to write a rough draft, a single paragraph, and you have to work on it in order to bring the length in the required limit, in order to improve connectivity, in order to replace the vocabulary of the author. And remember, you do not exist in precis. You do not have to write anything from your side. You have to write it according to the ideas given by the author. And at the last, on the last page, you have to write a new draft. You have to give the heading new draft, and you have to write this single paragraph as a new draft. No cutting, no addition in the new draft. Simply copy and paste from the rough draft after making required amendments, and then give the heading of summary. And in summary, you have to write words, total words in the passage, words required 120, and in words in need draft. Count each and every word in the need draft, uh, and then mention it here. And after that, give the title of the precis. So this is a three-pager process. First, point for the precis, then rough draft, and after that you have to write the need draft. So follow this process and do practice at home. And one thing, uh, always make points and then rough draft. Many students, they make points for the precis, and from that points they used to write need draft, which is a mistake. Why? Because the purpose of rough draft is to improve the precis, is to improve the connectivity. So you have to write a rough draft, and you have to make all the changes in the rough draft in order to improve your precis, and then copy and paste it in the form of a need draft, and after that write the summary. So thank you so much, and do subscribe this channel because more videos are in the pipeline regarding essay paper, grammatical errors, grammar lessons, and precis writing. Thank you so much.